In a small village nestled between two great rivers, there lived a girl named Malika. She was no ordinary girl. Her spirit was as strong as the winds that swept across the savannah, and her heart was as kind as the waters of the river that nourished her village. Malika lived with her grandmother, Bibi Amani, a wise elder who knew all the secrets of the land. Every evening they sat together, and Bibi Amani would tell her stories of great warriors, wise chiefs, and the ancient spirits that protected their people. One day, something unusual happened. The rains, which were supposed to come every season, didn't. Days turned into weeks, and the once vibrant fields of maize and millet began to dry up. The rivers, which flowed full and strong, began to shrink, and soon the village faced a terrible drought. The villagers gathered under the great baobab tree to discuss their fate. The elders spoke of an ancient spirit, Ngai, who lived in the distant Mount Umoja. According to legend, Ngai had the power to bring rain, but only those with the purest of hearts could seek the spirit's help. Malika sat quietly, listening to the discussion, her heart pounding. She knew she had to do something. Her grandmother had always said, "Bravery is not about strength, but about the courage to do what is right." So that night, Malika approached Bibi Amani. "Grandmother," Malika said, "I want to go to Mount Umoja and speak to Ngai. I will ask for rain to save our village." Bibi Amani looked at her granddaughter with concern. The journey to Mount Umoja was dangerous. There were wild animals, deep forests, and steep cliffs, but she saw the determination in Malika's eyes. She knew this was not a decision that could be changed. "You are brave, my child," Bibi Amani said softly. "But remember, the path to Ngai is not just a physical one. You must be strong in spirit, for Ngai will test your heart." The next morning, Malika set off on her journey. The villagers watched as she walked away, their hopes resting on her small but determined shoulders. As she traveled, she faced many challenges. She crossed scorching plains where the sun beat down on her, making every step feel like a burden. She climbed steep hills, her legs aching but her spirit unbroken. One night, as she rested by a small fire, she heard a rustling in the bushes. Out stepped a leopard, its golden eyes gleaming in the moonlight. Malika's heart raced, but she remembered her grandmother's words. She stood tall and calm, and in a soft voice, she spoke to the leopard. "I do not wish to harm you, Great One," she said. "I am on a journey to save my village. Please let me pass." To her surprise, the leopard did not attack. It stared at her for a moment, then slowly turned and disappeared into the darkness. Malika let out a sigh of relief and continued her journey. Days passed, and Malika grew tired. But finally, she reached the base of Mount Umoja. The mountain was tall, its peak hidden in the clouds, and as she looked up, she felt a mix of fear and awe. This was it, the final challenge. The climb was harder than anything Malika had ever done. The rocks were sharp, and the wind whipped around her, threatening to pull her off the mountain. But she pressed on, driven by the thought of her village and her people. At last, after what felt like hours, she reached the summit. There at the top was a small, clear pool of water. The air was still, and the silence was so deep that it felt like the mountain itself was holding its breath. Malika knelt by the pool and called out softly, "Great Spirit Ngai, I come not for myself but for my people. Our lands are dry, our crops are dying, and we need your help. Please bring us the rain." For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then the clouds above began to swirl, and a soft, gentle voice echoed around her. "Why do you seek the rain, child?" the voice asked. Malika closed her eyes, thinking of her village, her grandmother, and the people she loved. "I seek the rain because without it, my people will suffer," she said. "I seek it not for power or wealth, but for life, for the future of my village." The voice was silent again, and then, with a soft rumble, the clouds parted and rain began to fall. It started as a gentle sprinkle, then grew stronger, drenching the earth below. Malika stood, her face lifted to the sky, tears of joy mixing with the rain. "You have a pure heart, Malika," Ngai said. "Go home, and your village will be saved." Malika made her way back down the mountain, her heart light and her spirit strong. When she returned to the village, she was greeted with cheers and smiles. The rains had already begun to fall, and the rivers were filling once more. Bibi Amani hugged her tightly. "You have done it, my child," she said. "You have saved us all." From that day on, Malika was known as the girl with the brave heart, and her story was told around the fire for generations to come.